Okay. So I'd like to share another experience with y'all. This was one from a few months ago, and actually has to do. There's a booth outside. Like a table, but not the one with merchandise on it. There's another table out there, and you might have seen it on your way in, but it has a bunch of photos with kids on it. And I'm gonna explain a little bit why that's out there. So a few months ago, I went to Taiwan and to China for my very first time. And we had an experience there with some orphans. And I went with my manager, and my manager actually adopted a child from Taiwan. And while we were in Taiwan, she was able to go and meet with the biological sister of her daughter. And it was neat. It was very interesting to see the difference of of the life of a child who's been adopted and a child who's just been living on their own. And it was interesting to then go to China, because while we were in China, we were able to go and visit in Shanghai. We went to Shanghai, and in Shanghai, there was a place called the Shanghai Baby Home. And this place, the baby home, takes care of kids, of orphans, but not just any orphan, but orphans who have life-threatening illnesses. And while we were there, we got to spend time with the kids, build little houses with them, and it was a really neat experience. While I was there, I met a cute little girl whose name was Little Snow. And she was about a year old, I think. And she has a congenital heart disease. And she was about to go into another open heart surgery that she needed. And I was just amazed to see this cute little girl who had already gone through so much and alone, without a family. She's having to go through this and fight for her life on her own, this little 1-year-old girl. And that just blew my mind. There was another little boy, who was the boy in green. I just remember he had a little cast on his leg. There he is. And he was upset about something. And so I went over to check on him to see if he was okay, and I picked him up. And as soon as I picked him up, he just embraced me. He wrapped his arms around me and just wouldn't let go. And he just rested his head on my shoulder. And I could just feel that he just wanted to feel loved. He wanted to be loved by somebody. And I realized how much of a need we do have that, and what a difference it makes when it's not there. And you don't have any family. And so I was really touched by spending time with these kids. It really hit me. The whole plane ride home from the U.S., to the U.S. from China, I was thinking about these kids and how they were alone. They were fighting on their own. Well, with the woman who ran this baby home and the nannies that worked there. But this woman who runs this home is constantly fighting the government to keep this place open. She's constantly fighting for these kids because the government doesn't see that they don't think it's worth it. Why help these kids who already have their lives, who knows how long they're going to live for, and they don't have anybody to take care of them? What's the point? But she's constantly fighting for them. And so so people are always asking me, what do I want for Christmas? What do you want for Christmas, David? What can we give to you? And so that's where that table outside comes into play. It's an organization called Holtz International. And they're one of the first adoption agencies that was able to come get into China and work with China for these kids. And they are in several other countries like the Philippines and India, where I've also worked with kids there in those countries. And they're in several other countries throughout the world. And so what do? This organization basically, well, they find homes for these kids. So I'm not asking all of you to go and adopt a kid right now. Unless that's what you're looking for. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that is what you're looking for. But in the meantime, these kids, while they're looking for a home, they need food, they need shelter, they need education. And so Holt International, they sponsor a child, basically $1 a day, in the meantime until they can find a home, or maybe that they no longer need to be sponsored. And so my Christmas wish, if people ask me that, it's, like I said, my Christmas wish should be that you can help me by helping them, by helping these kids who need, they really need help. So if you go outside, please go and look at that table and look at those kids. You'll see their photos, you'll see their story, and if you feel something in your heart, feel a little something inside of you to help them, please do it. And please just go and help these kids. And now, just the other week, I was over at my grandpa's house, and he was showing me this book of his life that one of the grandkids made. And in that book, there was an orphanage. And I was like, oh, that's right. I had forgotten my grandpa was an orphan. My grandpa, Archuleta, was an orphan. He lived in an orphanage for 2 years with his brother and sister because his mom left them and his dad couldn't afford to take care of them. And so what happened? My grandpa, Archuleta, there was a man who knew my great-grandpa who was willing to sponsor my grandpa and his brother and his sister while they lived in this orphanage. They were able to get the education they needed. They had the food that they needed because this man decided to sponsor them. So you may wonder, well, how does that make a difference for somebody? It makes a huge difference. And I've been directly affected in my life by someone who's willing to sponsor an orphan. So please, go. If you go to the table, you'll meet Dan. He's at the table. He's a really nice guy, and he can explain to you more about what they do. And so thank you for listening to me on that. Okay, piano. Okay, I have another story. Okay, they're like, David, I thought we were paying for you to hear you sing. Why are you talking so much? But I promise this is the last story that I have to share, and then okay. But so something I try to do every morning and every night is begin my day with a prayer and end my day with a prayer. But sometimes at nighttime, I fall asleep before I can say my prayer, and I forget to say my prayer. And one of these nights happened where I forgot, where I fell asleep before I could say my prayer about a year ago, last December. And something unusual happened when I was praying. No, I was sleeping. Sorry, I was distracted because I'm like, oh, there you are. It's like, I just see this pillar of just light, like, so it's like, hi everybody. I can see when I do this. How are y'all doing back there? Hey, you doing all right? Okay. I'm telling y'all, I'm having such a hard time focusing today. But it's just, okay. I was this night a year ago in December when I had fallen asleep before I could say my prayer. I had a dream. And what was unusual about this dream is I was praying in my dream. I was talking to God in this dream. But what made it even more unusual was I was singing as I was praying. And it was to music as we were talking, when I was talking back and forth with him. and I could hear these chords playing. Very simple chords, and I wasn't saying anything fancy either because, I don't know, I think that's how prayer should be, something simple. And while I was praying and singing to him, he was communicating back to me in music. And it was a really interesting experience. And so while we were communicating back and forth, he told me to get up and write this down. And I thought, but I'm sleeping. I don't think I know how to get up from a dream. And he said, if you don't get up now, you're going to forget it in the morning. So I thought, okay, I might need a little bit of help here because I'm not sure how to, but I'm going to do everything I can. And I did. I got up and I went straight to the piano and I recorded these chords and I wrote down the words that I had said in this dream and in this prayer. And I just kept it the way it was. I didn't change anything about it. I didn't try to make it sound more fancy or rhyme more or anything, because I just felt like this was a song that was given to me. So I'd like to share it with all of you tonight, and I call it my little prayer. Heavenly Father, I am grateful for your eternal presence. I am learning to be patient and that you are really there. Sometimes I am afraid, and I know that's lacking faith, but I'm beginning to understand that for me you have a plan. Heavenly Father, I am grateful for you sending your Son to die so that I'd live, and for never giving up. I'm learning every day that I won't always have my way, but I'm beginning to understand that for me you have a plan. Heavenly Father, I am grateful for you hearing my prayer. I am learning to be patient and that you are really there. There are answers I'm receiving. No, they're not always immediate. Sometimes I have felt defeated. That's when